This is my Yamaha R6 track bike, and as you can see, it's not in the best condition, and that's because I decided to take a nap at the track. And now that I'm awake from my jigsaw nap, it's time to rebuild this bike to its former glory, take it back to the track, and see if I can get my balls back. Welcome to Project Get My Balls Back. The last time we went to the track, this bike didn't pass inspection, and that's because they said the rear wheel was missing a spacer. So I have this 32mm socket. I've actually had this since my first motorcycle, so we're gonna see what spacer is missing, because I took it to the track prior to that, and it did fine the whole day. It needed just come on, let's go look at this. Okay, removing a rear wheel is very basic, and every motorcycle rider should know how to do this. First, you take off the nut, and then that just spins out. A lot of you guys call this an axle. It's called an axle in some manuals, but in some manuals, it's actually called a pin. If you don't believe me, look up the Aprilia manual. They call it a pin. Lift up on the wheel, push with your thumb. Thumb and index, pull. Yeah! We got it out. Pull the chain from the bottom, and then watch out for the caliper on the right side. Move this over, and the wheel comes right out. Now let's see if it's actually missing a spacer. There's a spacer here, and a spacer here. Oh, maybe it's this inside spacer. It's probably the spacer in between the sprocket holder and the wheel. Yeah! Yeah, that's the one. Right in here. I guess we'll have to order that part too. Alright, so whenever you're looking at parts for a motorcycle, you could always just Google it. All I did was search Yamaha R6 rear wheel spacer. I went to 10 kate. So there's the diagram there. That's the spacer we need. That line leads to there, in between there, which is under this. Actually, I just thought about it. There's a Yamaha dealership right here. It's about 5 minutes away. I'm gonna call them and see if they have it. The very specific part they don't have there. But we can call another one. Olympia Motorsports. I love those guys. Hey Andrew, 5SL8300. So nobody has it in stock. It's a very specific part apparently. It's not a part that you lose. You shouldn't lose it. I'm trying to do my little trick to put on the rear wheel very easily. So what you do, you find a socket that fits in here, kind of snug. Okay? Look, if you have a quick disconnect, you just disconnect it. Track bike, baby! Yo, Dylan, do you ever get tired of saying, baby? You see this little piece right here? That goes in there. See? I guess you put this back on. That'll help hold down the caliper. This is the trick. You put a socket in here that fits like that. Watch this, Emilio. Just lift it up. This is harder than it looks. It's easy when we're not filming. When we're filming, I'm not really fully concentrating on what I'm doing. I'm trying not to get my pants dirty. My wife's gonna kill me. Bro, what? Okay, I'm done. Doing this my way. It's this caliper. There we go. I couldn't get it in because the rotor and the brake pads, they're so thick. So I had to separate them. Now you throw this in there. Get it all the way in. Come on. There. Now your hands are free, and so are your feet. You keep that in there. Get this chain back on if you can. Am I dirty yet? My wife's gonna kill me. You just tap this in all the way until the socket comes out. Watch this. It's not straight. Okay, it's almost there. We're not throwing away any of the crashed fairings. We're gonna use them as spare parts for next year. Oh God, how did this snap? This was brand new. Their windscreens are made to shatter. I don't want to get a new windscreen because I think that's bougie. Here we go. Sorry, Emilio. Should have warned you that it was flying off. This was our fix from the last track day. Yeah, the Blur 2 is no more. Working on a bike is like cooking. You gotta clean as you go. The cleaner your area, the better. When Ellis built this sim rig, boy made a mess. I had to clean up after him every freaking day. All right, these really crappy grips are coming off. You know what, I'm just gonna leave it like that for now. We don't have grips yet. I don't wanna be too bougie because this is a race bike / track bike. But look at the exhaust. It's just like, it's still functional. I can like just cut this off. It's still functional. I just don't want to be bougie and put a brand new exhaust on.
Wait, you're for real? Or are you just saying that for the camera?
No, I'm for real. Because it's just like, you know, like, I have the brand new exhaust. It's right here, actually.
Oh, yeah.
Full exhaust from Leo Vinci. It's been sitting there for months. I could put it on. It just feels a little, one, wasteful. This is a race bike, okay? It's going to be my race bike for next season for 600 novice. And then two, this one still works. It's still functional. There's no holes. It's just a little scratched up, which is fine. It doesn't bother me. But I know it might bother you, YouTube kiddos. Okay, so let this be a lesson from me. If it's a track bike, if it's just a bike that you're gonna track, like, there is no point in replacing things like look at this tank. It's not leaking oil. Why waste your money? You know what I mean? Or that's just the Filipino mom in me. This is where my dilemma comes in as a creator is I have a hard time encouraging people to spend a lot of money on their motorcycles because one, they're already like really fast. Two, the bikes that we rode at Superbike school, stock, like 100% stock. The bike that I rode, I think I did 1 minute and 31 was my fastest time, and that's pretty quick. I think I was in like the top 5 people in that class. There were some people that are faster, but it was like they had their own bikes. One of them like a white S1000. That's the part of me as a motorcycle rider, not as a YouTuber, as somebody who's really passionate about motorcycles. I don't want to encourage people to spend aimlessly on their bikes, okay? And I've said it before, I'll say it again, I'll say it right here. I personally don't think spending $20,000 on a motorcycle and then spending another $15,000 on modifications, right? Like my Panigale, everybody's asking me, oh, what exhaust are you going to get? I'm going to get an exhaust eventually, but that's mostly because of the line of work that I'm in. I'm on YouTube, that's what I do. But the real life me, I wouldn't, no. I'd just ride it stock, and I'd take it to the track stock, and I'd probably be faster than more than half of the people there who have like, I've seen V4Rs in C group riding like they're on I-5. So, I don't know. That's where like my head is. Thank you for recording this, Emilio. I love you so much. Okay, let's put on the, what's that, bro?
No, you're supposed to.
I buy a lot of stuff from Sport Bike Track Gear. This is not a sponsored video. I paid full price for this. They didn't even give me my military discount because you have to like, you have to ask them for it. You have to email them. I needed the part, okay? I didn't need the 10% off. Okay. What's great about these is they're made out of aluminum, so when they bend, you can bend them back. This is by a company called Moto Holders. I also ordered the little air ducting, which is this. This is the OEM one that's been modified. Ha ha! The dash is now off. Old fairing stick comes off. Bro, who put this in there? Oh my god! I stripped it! Nope. Nope. What in the... We got one bolt stuck because I stripped it because whoever put this in, I was like, you know what? We're gonna tighten the crap out of it. Okay guys, try using a star bit. Why are you guys so smart? Torx bit, here we come, bro. Who's that? Oh, that's Gary. What up, Gary? Oh. Gary, I know you're watching this on the live, but I think it's gonna work, bro. No! It's so close! Julian came in and he said, use something rubber with this and this. No. Nah, bro. Yay!
Oh yeah.
Oh, fuck, did it again. Don't be an idiot. Use safety glasses. I don't think this is gonna work. I don't think this is gonna work, bro. Emilio found safety glasses. Nah, bro. I made 2 like flat spots. It's like perfect for a 14 mil to try and at least break it loose. So I'm gonna find Count and see how much leverage we got doing this. Okay. Ha! Come on. Yes! I just turned it into a 14. That's why we do it the double moto way. Oh, I'm looking at the wrong camera. I'm looking at the live. My bad. We got it off, y'all.
How are you able to come up with that solution? Has that ever happened to you?
It's never happened to me. I just came up with it on the fly. It must be because Emilio inspired me. So, thank you, Emilio. This happened because of you.
You're welcome.
This is a fairing stay for my Yamaha R6. And before I replace it with a new fairing stay, this aluminum one right here, I needed to remove it from here with the 4 bolts that was holding it. The problem was one of the bolts was too tight and I accidentally stripped it. So I've seen a lot of different solutions for this, and the one that I came up with, I've never seen before. So I essentially dremeled like 2 little edges, one on each side, and it was just enough to fit this 14 mil wrench. So here's an up close of what it looks like. And now I can replace it with this aluminum fairing stay. The reason I'm replacing it is because this OEM aluminum fairing stay is actually cast aluminum. So when you go down, pieces snap off like this. With an aluminum fairing stay like this, pieces just bend and you can just bend them right back into place. So if you're building a track bike, you might want to upgrade your OEM fairing stay to an aluminum fairing stay. So if you are building a track bike, you may want to upgrade from your OEM fairing stay to an aluminum fairing stay like this. These are bolts from a lot of motorcycles that I've crashed over the last 20 years. In here somewhere. Oh, too long. Ha ha! No. So before we put on the new fairing stay, we gotta remove this little spacer. It goes right here, like so. Okay. And then put this in. And then your 4 bolts go in. Careful not to strip this again. Okay, so this is the little air duct, and this one's made out of fiberglass. And it came with couple of bolts. So this is my new fairing set. It's from a company called Armor Bodies. This one is made with a special resin that they use in racing kayaks. What I like about Armor Bodies is they use like full sheets of fiberglass, so it is super strong. So when you crash it, it kind of stays in one piece. It doesn't crack, it doesn't break. So as you can see, this is my old fairing from the crash, and they're the exact same fairings. Nothing really happened to the bike except for the track fairings. This is still in one piece. We need to go into like 2 inches. Okay, so the reason it's not fitting is because I cut this piece right here on both ends. That's why. Test fit number 2. 3rd time. Okay, so this can be modified, but the moto holder for 08 to 16. I mean, it looks like 08 to 16 fairings too. It seems right, but it's just not. Like, look where the mounting points are. This is a aftermarket moto holder,
Okay.
which is made for track bikes and race bikes.
So you could always make a bracket, or not make a bracket, but just buy a bracket, something to connect it to.
Yeah.
That'd be your best bet,
Yep.
honestly. And
what you said.
moral of the story is don't crash your bike. You don't have to worry about dealing with this.
Looking on Woodcraft's website for the fairings right here. 08 to 16. Look at the receipt from Sport Bike Track Gear. 08 16. So I'm wondering, I'll just give them a call and be like, yo, is there a bracket that I didn't order? I got on IG Messenger last night because I had a theory that the fairings actually don't need to be held on by a second mount. The fairings are actually going to be held on by these. I'm going to go ahead and take out all these sensors that we need. Nice and loose. And so can that. This goes on here like schmau. We drill 2 holes on top so we can put our sensors back in. There's like little indents in there, like little guides, but it's not quite accurate. What I'm gonna do is just push it in, drill on both sides, and then try to get these in. It's supposed to be in there like that, maybe? Oh, maybe it's like that. But there's no nut. They didn't provide us a nut, so. And I'm kind of a ding-dong for putting my toolbox up here. Look, I got tippy toe. I got tippy toe, bro. I think that'll be good enough. Okay. Eat the works. So now we gotta do holes on top for the sensors, which are these. We'll just keep them where they are, OEM. Perfecto Ernesto. I learned this from a racer. I'm thinking I'm just gonna zip tie everything, because when you crash this bike, I think at those stiff points, that might cause worse damage versus like zip ties that flex because they're plastic. So I think that'll hold it just fine. Clean as you go. Alright, let's mount that back up. This is it's a track bike build. It's not perfect. Okay, we're gonna test fit. These things are pretty damn strong. So the Canadian champ that I spoke with, his name is Andrew Alcampado. The fairings are essentially held on by this windscreen. Check this out. So the windscreen gets mounted to the fairings here. The windscreen also gets mounted to our motor holders right here somewhere. I'm not exactly sure how well it's gonna hold up, but you know, he raced and won a championship with this same setup, but so. So right now I'm just looking for like similar bolts that I might be able to possibly use for this build. This is a box of bolts that I've had for years from many different motorcycles. See this gap is funky. A few minor adjustments, nothing too crazy. It's this little gap. So that lines up better, and this is kind of where the Zeus fasteners come in. This is the Zeus fastener. This side goes on the inside, and then you put this little fastener in, and then you just twist, and it locks in place. And then to take it out, you just twist that other way, and then it'll come out. We're gonna put one here, and then one over here on this side. Zeus fastener has been Zeus fastened. So do you guys know the difference between a super sport seat and a super bike seat on a track bike / race bike? Let me show you. This is a super bike seat. You know it's a super bike seat because it doesn't have the cutout for the OEM seat like this super sport seat right here. Okay, that is on. And then you take your OEM seat and it goes essentially in the same spot as OEM. Now let me show you the super bike seat. Yeah! This is the super bike seat. I think it goes on a lot easier. And what you use as a seat is just a piece of foam. This one's pre-cut out and has the holes for it. You undo these stickies and then it sticks right on like that. Now if you're a short ass like me, you could just run it with no seat. Okay, now let's go ahead and install this super bike seat. This one's the tough one. See these two holes? I have to line them up with this, but I can't see jack squat. There's no holes. Okay, this looks freaking beautiful. We just gotta put this back on. You drill some holes, add some zip ties or some rivets. Bro, the R6 is back in business. Let's go. I need grips next. Then we're in. Back at the track. Hopefully I don't crash again. Knock on fiberglass. We put the windscreen on to take a picture for the gram. Alright, we got out of the garage for a few minutes. I gotta go get a front tire for the R6. We're gonna put street tires on. That way, I can go give it a shakedown. Look at this weather. So freaking depressing. And Emilio, he just wants to go home to the Philippines, the motherland.
Yeah, I live in the island. I want to live in like the boonies, like in the island.
Alright guys, we got the tire from the homies here at Cycle Gear that hooked us up with some grips too. We went with the Road 6s. I gotta ride this bike in the wet. Mismatch ass tires. Q3 Plus in the rear and then this in the front. Let's go put these tires on. Okay, now we're gonna teach you guys a little bit more advanced stuff, but it's still kind of basic. This is a front stand. This pin goes under the triple tree right here. See that little hole right there? And then you push this down, and that'll lift the front end. What I'm gonna do now is teach you guys flushing the brake fluids. Okay, so you gotta remove the cap first. This is the reservoir. It was just a screw, and this is the thing that holds it. Next, I like to take a towel, just kind of poke a hole in it, get it over the reservoir. That will kind of help prevent dripping. Take out this cap. There's a little rubber piece. Move this to the side. From here, I'm gonna take another towel and just soak up all that old fluid. That way I'm not flushing old crap into the lines. Let's just get all the crap that we can from the top out. See it up? All right, this goes into the garbage. Here you're gonna top it off with fresh fluid right at the top. Okay, this is my brake fluid catch can. It's basically just an old pho tub. This is a silicone hose that I've been using for last year. Find the caliper and we're gonna bleed from both sides. This is the bleed nipple right here. You just take off that rubber and stick this side into here. There you go. Brake fluid change every 2 years. Which in my opinion is idiotic. This is probably just for street riding, but this is a track bike. And even if I was to only street ride the R6, I would still change the brake fluid frequently. Typically, once I see the color starts to change, that means the fluid has been used up. As in, there's heat that's been applied to it, and that's part of the temperature change. In the owner's manual, this is the bleeding order on the front hydraulic brake system. You start with the front master cylinder, and then do the calipers, and then back to the master cylinder. This is the master cylinder. These are the calipers. So Yamaha wants you to start with the master cylinder, down to the calipers. It doesn't say which one is first. It doesn't say left or right, it's first. It just says go to the calipers and then go back to the master cylinder. I'm skipping the first part because I don't want to go back. What I do instead is I go calipers and then master. But as always, follow what's in the manual. For me, it doesn't matter. All I do is loosen this, break that loose. Make sure you can tighten it and loosen it with your finger. I'm gonna pull on this lever all the way down, but I'm gonna pull this out first. You'll see the fluid come out right there. And then you wanna tighten this down. This is like an old school way to do it. And this is the way I prefer to do it, okay? And then come back up here and just push, push, push till you got brake pressure. And then loosen this again. At the same time, pushing this. Pump, pump, pump till it's stiff. I'm gonna loosen this nipple while pushing this down. That pushes brake fluid out. Close this. Pump, pump, pump. Now here's the important thing. Don't pump on this with this open. This always has to be closed. That keeps air from getting into the system. And you just do this until the fluid level drops in here. And you don't want it to drop all the way down because again, you don't want to introduce air bubbles into the system. Once it drops, top it off, do the other side, and then come back and do the master cylinder, which is again connected to the front brake lever. So I'm gonna keep going. It's a very, very fast movement. Again, I've been doing this forever. Fluid actually looks pretty damn clear down here. So I'm gonna move to the other side now. Now before I remove that, keep the mess to a minimum. Just dab that real quick. Rubber cover back on. Make sure this is tight. Boom. All right, now we're gonna do the front master cylinder. The bleed nipple is under this rubber cover. As you can see, our brake fluid reservoir is now almost empty. I'm gonna top that off. Loose, pump, fluid comes out, tighten, pump, pump, get pressure back, loosen, pump, fluid comes out, tighten, pressure comes back, same thing. Again, I do the master cylinder last. But for the manual, it goes master cylinder, calipers, master cylinder. That's good enough for me. Pull this out slowly so you don't make a mess. Fluid goes in here, got all that. And finally, just top off the fluid. There is a line that you don't want to go over. So it says upper, lower. Those are two lines. You just put fluid right in between that, and you should be good. Now you can put the cap back on. And I just like to wipe this down because there's probably a lot of water. I like to make sure it's at least semi-dry before I put it back. You don't want to reintroduce condensation back into the fluid, so it's important to clean this out. Okay, this goes on. Same thing, clean the inside, get rid of the condensation, and then just twist it back on. Cover lock back, tighten that down. All right, now while we're down here, I'm gonna show you guys how to check your brake pads. So you're gonna wanna remove this bolt and this bolt. So checking your brake pads is super easy. There's 2 caliper bolts that you gotta worry about. 1, 2. And then you don't really have to do anything. You just pull it up and then it should just come out pretty easily. Now you can see your brake pads and you can see the brake pistons and you can see the caliper pistons. Just make sure it's all in decent condition. I'm gonna try to clean it out later on, but for the purpose of this video, this is how you check it. Now as you can see in here, I have plenty of brake pad life left. The friction plates aren't anywhere near the base. There's a lot of pad in here. These are good to go. Now if they're thin and they're getting close to the metal base on the pads themselves, just replace them, they're cheap. Again, for the purpose of this video, I'm just gonna undo this quick disconnect. Not every bike's gonna be the same, but they're all pretty similar. There's 2 cotter pins that hold the main pin that holds the pads. Get this out. This is like a spring, and then do a closer inspection of the pads. They look great. Check the condition of the pistons, and in my opinion, they also look great. So everything's going back. And it's just about aligning the pin to go through all the holes. Put your cotter pins back in, or your clips. And from here, you just put the calipers back in. You slide the pads right in between the rotor. So, since I have a QD, just line them up, put your 2 bolts back in, and get them torqued down to spec. Read your manual. All right, we're gonna change the front tire now. All right, let's get this front wheel off. Yeah. Okay, I loosen that, and then I'm gonna loosen these clamps. Let's get this caliper off first. These are the clamp bolts that are essentially holding down the axle or the wheel pin. And when you tighten these down, this clamps down. You see this little slit right there? Clamps it down and it keeps this pin in place. Axle pin, wheel pin, metal tube, whatever you guys want to call it. Okay, lift up, same thing, and then pop it out. That comes out. We have our front wheel. We got the really old slick off. We gotta make sure this is going in the right orientation. So as you can see here, because it's hollow on this side, we know that the wheel's not gonna be moving this way because it's just gonna catch air. Do you guys ever wonder why
The rear wheel is wider than the front wheel.
Okay, I've been asked this question before and I already know the answer. Essentially, the front wheel, you want it to be narrower because it's a lot easier to maneuver. The front wheel actually helps turn the motorcycle using physics. On a sport bike, you're not really turning the handlebar to make a turn. It's mostly the shape of the tire that initiates the turn. Imagine having a really fat, round front tire and then trying to make a corner. It would take a lot longer and a lot more force for the tire to lean over than it would if it was a narrow tire like this. Hence, the front tire being narrower in the front. Now, the rear tire being wider, more meat, you have more grip, this is where all the power is getting pushed to. You need something a little bit bigger, especially for a bike like the Yamaha R6. Not only does this help in straight line stability, more grip to the road, it also helps in corner stability. Now, some bikes actually have a narrower rear tire, and Emilio was asking, what about scooters? Some scooters are actually the same size. Yes, that's true, but again, those bikes are much lighter, and having 2 narrow tires in the front and rear makes them more maneuverable. If you've ever ridden a scooter or like a Honda Gram, you can tip those side to side a lot easier than you can this. This bike has somewhere around 120 horsepower, and a Honda Gram is like what, 125 cc, and it's powered by Gixxer Hopes and Dreams, so you don't really need that much tire. Now, the downside to a really big wheel and tire in the rear is weight and excessive rotational mass. But again, with the amount of power that this bike has, a 180 size rear tire and a 5.5 wheel is the best compromise of both power to weight ratio, stability, and flickability. Okay, I'm trying something a little different. I took off the wheel weights and then I'm just moving the tire around to see if we can get it to balance without wheel. I doubt this is gonna work. A lot of you guys in the comment section, whenever I do a balancing tire, yeah, make sure the dot lines up with the, there's no dot on this tire. So what we're doing is just kind of wiggling the tire a little bit. Like, it has to not move is the key. Which again, I don't think this works. Yeah, I don't think this is a thing, bro. Like, some of you guys are just full of shit, I swear. He's going that way. Did you hear those pops? That means the bead is set. See how they're kind of even? Mm-hmm. That's how you know the bead is set all the way through. Doesn't always have to pop, but most of the time it pops. These are 7-gram wheel weights mounted on the opposite end. I usually start with 2. Okay, so that's at the top. The way to check it, see if it's balanced, is put this at a perpendicular, I guess, like you know, on this side, and then see if it'll move. So it goes right back, very close to the bottom. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use tape to tape this on. Okay, I added 2 more wheel weights. Negative, Jack! I don't like to put a ton of wheel weights on these things. We took off the wheel weights because we had 4 wheel weights, it just wasn't working. This time, this was what I normally would do. I was just confident that 2 was gonna be enough, but I put tape on here and then I moved this around. I might even add a 3rd. Let's add a 3rd just in case. 3. Okay, we got it. Technically, we can move this wherever and it should stay put, which it does, as much as possible, right? So wherever we put it, should stay put, relatively stay put. I think that's pretty well balanced. I'm gonna go ahead and stick this on. There we go. That is balanced. It's not moving. You know what's funny? This tire is coming off as soon as track season starts. So I hope you guys are enjoying this video. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Get us to 1 million subscribers. Okay, bye. Emilia's gonna try balancing the wheel. Gotta be that way, yeah. Still kind of moving. So you said directly across the bottom. Yep, perpendicular. You got the magic touch, bro. All right, stick it on. If I do this, it should stay. It should stay. That's pretty close. That's really good, bro. First try ever, bro. Still moving. You can't ever get this perfect. Sure. Yeah, I'll take it. You can add one if you want. Here, I would add it on this side. Just like lightly stick it on and see what happens. There you go. Bro, that's fine. I'll take that. That might be it. Yeah, push it in. Pound-feet of torque is actually the correct way to measure horsepower and torque in a motor. SAE. Everybody says foot-pounds of torque. It's pound-feet of torque. You can Google it. The manual says 81, but I'm just gonna do 80. 80 is a lot. And the reason I didn't go by the manual is because this nut has a hole, and I gotta insert my little safety clip. Okay, per the manual, you have to tighten the axle nut first. 67 pound-feet of torque. This is a special tool that I use. Works for many motorcycles, but essentially this is the 19 mil Allen that goes in there, and this will let you torque it down to 67. So for the pinch bolts, these are supposed to be 21 Newton meters or 15 pound-feet of torque. I don't have a torque wrench that goes that low. Just kidding, yes I do, but I'm not gonna use it because 15 foot-pounds of torque, pound-feet of torque, whatever you want to cork it, it doesn't matter. Okay, just don't over tighten it. Consider this number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. Again, this is per the manual. Y'all can come after me, but if you do, you're an idiot. Get that down to 15, then get this down to 15. Gonna double check this again, because when you tighten one, the other side tends to loosen up. And then from here, you think it would be inside, outside, inside, outside. It's actually 4, 3. You're gonna tighten the 4 to about 15, and then the 3 to about 15. Check the other side. Again, this is it's just snug. That is how you get it done. Get your caliper on. These are 25 pound-feet of torque. All right, here's what I do. I spin the wheel, hit the brake, spin the wheel again, hit the brake, spin the wheel again, hit the brake, and I'm just gonna hold this down. I'm gonna try to get this tightened down. Again, I'm not torquing it down yet. I'm gonna do the same thing on the other side while holding the brake. I'm gonna torque it down to 26 pound-feet of torque. I know I said 25 earlier. It's 26. Wait, was that it? it was already there. Yeah, that's not much, bro. I'm just gonna give it a little bit more. That is not, that doesn't feel right. As you can see, it doesn't take that much torque for the caliper bolts. You can just hand tighten it if you feel like. So these are grips that we just got this morning. This is another basic maintenance thing that I think you should know. If you've ever changed grips when you're a kid on your BMX bike, it's kind of the same thing, except this one side is bigger than the other. You see the diameter? Since there's a throttle tube, the bigger one's gonna go in here. And it just comes right off. And as you can see, there's a little bit of damage there, but it shouldn't affect anything. All right, I'm just gonna hit this with a little brake cleaner just to get it cleaned off. Now, to help it slide in easier, I'm just gonna spray some brake cleaner in here. I'm just gonna squeeze the end. Brake cleaner just dries so quickly. There we go. And the throttle should pretty much just snap back like that. Now you know how to do grips. Same thing on the other side. Okay, I don't have grip glue, but I do have some silicone glue. That should be fine. That should be good. So for the purpose of test riding, I don't want to put the foam seat. That's because I still need to reinforce the Superbike seat or tail. But I do want to take it out for a test ride. So what we're going to do is just put the Super Sport seat on and then take it out. All right, let's go take this bike out for a spin. Cold start. This bike's been sitting since the last track day. Oh. Let's go, broods. Man, this bike has not been ridden for a while. Woo! Quick shifter still works good. Oh man. Brand new tires. Wet weather. Do not mix. Don't do this. It is wet, broods. Yeah, I mean, I rode this off the track, so I'd imagine there's not much wrong with it. It seems to track just fine. I don't feel any like head shake or anything like that. Glad I got this Kemimoto heated jacket. I'm just going through some back roads. Woo! That quick shifter water. Oh my gosh. I wish this had a nice auto blip, but it does not. Oh, it's sketch. It's sketch, like just not like the bike itself, but in the rain, track bike, no headlights. I'm not gonna go on the main, I'm just gonna stay in the back. So I'm gonna make a left over here, maybe over Schmear, somewhere up here. R6 is back in business, broods. Let's go. Whatever tune is on this bike, it holds like the RPMs a little bit higher when you pull in the clutch. It's a little strange. Starbucks is right here, bro. Let's go. It freaking works. Thank you guys for watching the video. That's all.